This spirit of cricket argument that's raging around at this moment in time for obvious reasons. I mean, the producers said, is this notion all bollocks? Which is a lovely way to express it. But the spirit of cricket and the culture of cricket, I mean, do you believe in it? What is it, first and foremost?
I was hoping you were going to have a definition because I've got no idea.
You're the ones that play it. I don't know what it is.
It's an interesting one because I got embroiled in a spirit of cricket argument when I nicked the ball and didn't walk against Australia. I was going to ask you about
that. Was it a family trait, isn't it?
Well, yeah. It's a trait of 99% of professional cricketers.
Is it?
Of course it is. Name me a player who nicks the ball and walks consistently.
I don't know.
Good. Argument over.
So no spirit of cricket then?
Well, so I got
So
embroiled.
what are you getting all aerated about then? I mean,
I got
with the Australians.
We'll get to that. I got embroiled, right, in a spirit of cricket. You nicked the ball and you should have walked off. So 21 players out of 24 in 10 test matches nicked the ball and didn't walk in that period of time, in that 2 Ashes series.
But as a bowler, what do you think then? If someone
let the umpire make a decision.
Do you?
Yeah, genuinely.
You don't go, you cheating bastard.
No,
you don't think any of that.
I might say that to him, but I actually would say, is it not more disrespectful to the referee? So in football, if you make a bad tackle, you think, actually, ref, I think that's a red, I'm off. Well, I've only given you a yellow. Nah, I'm off. Spirit of football, well done.
Oh, yes, but football doesn't profess to have that. There's this culture of cricket where you've described it in a very different way. You know, you've talked about the cricket that you played and the family events and people going around to people's barbecues, and it was the real cricket when I was younger.
That's not spirit of cricket. That's just enjoyment of cricket.
But that's the essence of cricket, and then it translates into a spirit which is about how people should play. Is it is the spirit of cricket myth really centred in just a British view of the way that British sport should be played?
I think it's worldwide. I think it's the spirit of cricket. I wouldn't call it. I don't think anyone necessarily knows exactly what it is, because I broke no laws or rules nicking the ball and not walking, and I did exactly what 99% of professional cricketers do, is nick the ball and not walk and let the umpire make the decision.
Right.
That's what frustrated me about that sort of blow up of around that instance. I think the Johnny Bairstow run out at Lords is a very different thing, because
that's bad form, isn't it?
It's bad form potentially, but it's actually, I viewed it as the wrong decision to give him out, because if you break that down, it's a weird dismissal.
He wasn't seeking
you don't
an
often
advantage.
see that.
He wasn't seeking an advantage.
There was no advantage being seeked. And also, if you pause the ball, if you pause the telly when the ball hits the stumps, one of the umpires has got his cap out ready to give back to the bowler.
Yeah.
And the other one is walking to his mark with the head down.
It's dead in most people's minds.
Dead.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's necessarily a spirit of cricket decision. I think it was just the wrong decision to give him out. I think they should have said that was the end of the play.
There are certain sections of the media and observations from certain pundits about Johnny needing to pay more attention to what he was doing. Was that an opinion in the dressing room? Was it
not an opinion in the dressing room?
Or did everyone galvanise around?
It galvanised. It made the series. To be honest, we galvanised around it. I think he didn't do it again in the series.
No.
So he realised,
concentrate his mind.
Maybe was a bit dozy at the time, just wandering out. But I don't think anyone would have thought that the Aussies would have taken that as an opportunity to run him out at the end of an over. It wasn't like he was doing it to try and nick a run.
When I was watching the game live, I thought there's no chance.
Really?
I didn't think the Australians would
So because I was
down.
next in at Lords in the changing room, I stood up. So I was like, oh God, if there's an appeal, I might be in here. Start like stretching or whatever. Saw it on the TV. Nah, no way is that out. Sat back down. And then I heard a huge boo. I was like, what's happened there? And I think Baz went, oh, he's been given out. I was like, you're joking? So I was like, am I in? Yeah, you're in, mate. Helmet. So I'm scrambling around a bit, like, right, get it. And what set me off was I walked through the long room, which is normally like, good luck, have a great time. And one of the members was looking out the window and just turned around to me and goes, absolute disgrace. I just had red mist for 10 minutes. So I walked past Johnny, and normally when the out batter, you'd go, what do you think? Is it swinging, mate? How are you feeling? Like, he was just snorting, like staring at the floor like a raging bull, didn't even look at me. And that revved me up as well. So I was like, okay, well, so he's obviously annoyed. So as I'm walking out to Lords and there's boos going at the Aussies, the captain, Pat Cummins, has coming on to bowl. So he's walking towards me to the end of his mark. And I just looked at him. I said, you're an absolute disgrace.
And the response was?
He said, oh, yeah, you're hardly a upkeep of the spirit of cricket.
Did he? Reference in 2013.
Yeah. So that upset me a bit. So then the next 10 minutes became of me being very facetious and shouting in every time. I saw you, which I had huge regrets about that night. I was hugely embarrassed about it, but I had no real control over what I was doing. I was just, there's a moment where Silly Point and Short Leg are in with their helmets on, and the crowd are singing, same old Aussies, always
cheating. Yeah.
And I am stood there a yard away, and I'm looking at both of them in the eye, just singing, same old Aussies, always cheating. And I can sit there looking at me as if to say, what are you doing? And Stokesy came to me and said, I'm going to do my thing. I'm not going to talk. If I run, you run. If I run two, you run two. But you keep doing your thing. And I did. And I just so Pat went over to long on, like way away from me. And the crowd are booing him when they walk out. And I'm shouting from, 60 meters. Pat, all these boos, they're for you, mate. All of them, they're for you. To the extent where I think some of them were going, just like, calm down a little bit. Started off as a red mist, and then I tweaked it into an advantage of we've got them by the balls here a little bit. How long can I make this carry on?
This rivalry of Australia, it obviously means something, and it has intensity attached to it. One of the observations before or during the series, and maybe even up to that point, I think Michael Vaughan made it, was about the friendliness between the sides and the amicability about it. And he was basically, I think, saying, was enough of this now. This is the old enemy. We need to see a bit more intensity, a bit more dislike. And I suppose that leads me into the question about, was it a catalyst first and foremost? Did it get everybody at it a little bit more than, did it heighten the sensitivity of what we're playing against here? These guys will fucking stop at nothing to win. They don't care. And 100%. They're going to do whatever they have to do. So we better start upping our game, or we better start distancing ourselves from any kind of relationship with these people because it's there to be won. Did it change? Or
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, galvanise the series. I think first and foremost, I think for English people watching or supporters of our team watching, it actually got more people, and not just the cricket fans. It wasn't just the cricket fans watching England.
Front page and back page
this was bang.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone's in. In sport, it's a big thing when prime ministers are commenting. You know what I mean? So it's it got to that stage. Yeah. But it also, us as a group, we weren't talking about that in our change room. We weren't going, oh, bloody Aussies doing that. But there was a steeliness added. There was a grit. There was a mindset. There was, okay, if they're going to play like that, then we're going to play with our skill and our intent. And we're also going to be hard as nails here.
I'm going to read you something which is interesting because I can relate to it. Not quite 40,000. I had 25,000 Birmingham fans sing this to me. Yeah. When I was at Palace, because I made some observations about Steve Bruce leaving Palace to join Birmingham. What was Birmingham good for? Nothing. What was the last thing they won? Nothing. What was the road out? What was the best thing about Birmingham? The road out. Yeah, but you had this. I thought it was pretty fair until I rocked up there. You had this. Not many people can say they've been called a wanker by, as I just said, I can, by 40,000 people simultaneously, can they? By the end of the tour, I found myself actually whistling along to Broadie as a wanker. It almost got stuck in my head, quite catchy. When you hear that quote back, does it take you back to that space?
100%, I can feel it now.
Does it make you laugh? Did it make you laugh at the time? Did you think, crying out loud, what's going on here?
The noise shocked me. It didn't make me laugh at the time. I had to be really have a real steely battle face to cope with it, because it was properly
warrior
loud.
mode.
Yeah, but almost to another degree, it was like I felt like it was me against Australia, and I had to have that sort of siege mentality for that period of time, because wherever you go in Australia, it's Australia versus England. It's not the Australian cricket team versus England. You go to restaurants and you get, oh, I brought you shit. Oh, thanks, bud. Yeah, I'm just having a steak. I'm just trying to enjoy a meal. So it's. But I love that. I love how much they love their sport over there and how much they're into their sport. Yeah. But when you're going there, when the head coach, the Australian head coach, Darren Lehmann, called out for Australia to make me go home and cry or something, didn't he? I think was the quote. I had to prepare for it. But when that first announcement of Stuart Broad came up on the announcer and I had the ball in my hand, I was like, oh my God. That is so loud. But I'd trained for it. I'd done a little bit of work on preparing for it. And what I didn't want to do is walk down to the boundary's edge and have them chanting at me and just hide away. And so I thought, well, it's going to happen. I've got to embrace it somehow. So I started to become the conductor, doing the sounds and like, come on, I can't hear you over there. Come on, up we go. And ultimately, a couple of things happened to me on that trip that rang true. I read Sir Alex Ferguson's book. He talked about Vieira going to Old Trafford, and the crowd used to get stuck into Vieira. And he said, as a Manchester United manager, I saw that as a greatest sign of respect, because if the crowd don't care about you, they're not going to be bothered about you.
Yeah. So
which meant something to me.
Only one thing worse than people talking about is people not talking about it.
So I connected to that a bit.
Does it fill you with a great sense of achievement being the leading wicket taker against Australia? Because it's it's the blue chip, it's the benchmark.
What I treasure are the moments in games that have changed that momentum that's helped us win that. So what the 150 wickets against the Aussies, that's patting me on the back for saying you got good longevity. That's not telling me that I'm better than bowlers that have been previous. I've just played for longer.